Thank you guys for coming by today. Thank you for the introduction. Super excited to be here and share some of the insights that we've had as a company as we've grown. So specifically, I'm going to be talking about finding the black swan between companies, which I'm sure you hear that and you're like, what the hell are you talking about? I'll get to that in a second. But first, just to introduce myself, I work on our channel team at Drift. So started at Drift 2 years ago and was in customer success. And then in February last year, got asked to build our agency program. So it's been a year since we started that program, a lot of learnings this week. So super appreciate all of you guys for your insights and conversations. But specifically today, I'm going to be talking about our alliances side of the business, which I'm not as much directly responsible for, but I've had a lot of learnings with my director of partnerships, Jared Fuller. So to just reiterate what you said, what Drift is the new way businesses are buying from businesses. We live in a world of infinite supply where customers have all these options of getting connected with you. So Drift is trying to make that easier for businesses to sell their product. And Drift is really what we're calling in this category of conversational marketing. So what conversational marketing is, it enables your sales team to shorten the sales cycle, understand your customers, and ultimately create a more human buying experience on your website. So I'm sure you guys have all bought softwares before in the B2B space where you get to somebody's website and you're asked to fill out a form and then you're expected to get a follow-up within the next few days. And where we all live, you know, on our phones with Slack, with Uber, getting that instant response, we all live in the now. So what Drift enables you to do is get instant responses on your website 24/7 with our chatbot technology. So being able to ask a couple questions about your site traffic and then ultimately be able to route them to the right team. You're able to book meetings with your sales team instantly. So we integrate with Gmail and Office 365. So the bot can sort of qualify somebody on your website, and if you determine it's a fit, you can drop a calendar and your sales team is happy waking up with meetings with qualified leads. And the third thing we do is we also are able to give you an exceptional personalized experience on your website through reverse IP lookup data to give your target accounts the experience that they're hoping for, so that VIP experience. When they get there, you can call them out by company or by name, and based on where they're at in their sales cycle, you're able to present a message that's really relevant to them. And the fourth sort of bonus thing is we believe in an open future. That's why we're all here, right? We're all here to partner with different companies because the future of business is open. And we want to work with our customers' companies that they're already working with. We don't want to go out there and build an all-in-one solution and make you transform everything you're already doing and conform that to Drift. We want to use and integrate with the tools you're already using. And so when you get into these conversations with other software companies, the common theme that comes up is, well, what's in it for me, right? Everybody's in it for their own business. They want to know what the value is that you can provide them as a software and what the true value is there. And the answer is what we're calling is a black swan. So what a black swan is, I actually got it from this book. Anybody ever read this book? Show of hands. A couple of you. Really great book. I actually just finished it a few weeks ago. It's by this guy, Chris Voss. He was in the FBI lead negotiator for negotiating kidnappings internationally. So his book, he talks about negotiating as if your life depended on it. So there's a lot of great business learnings in this book, sort of like the psychology behind it all and how you can get people to your side of the business. And what he talks about in this book and what he defines a black swan at is a small or large piece of information that has a high impact on the implementation of a negotiated agreement. And so what that really means and what it means to Drift is that it's the thing that you discover through conversations with another company that neither party is aware of that can help bring that company to your side of the table. And so today I thought I would bring up 3 examples of how we've done this at Drift and sort of talk through those stories and what we really learned. So the first one I'm going to talk about is with our alliance with Marketo. So for those of you who don't know, Marketo is a marketing automation system, super big. I'm sure most of you know what it is, but I just want to make sure. Marketing automation, email nurture, things like that. And when we first entered conversations with Marketo earlier last year, we were looking to partner because Marketo has the largest immediate ideal customer profile for us. So we're sort of scaling to look at customers at more of the upper mid-market to enterprise space, and those customers are using Marketo. So like I said earlier, we want to meet our customers where they're at and use the technologies they're using. And for Drift, it's one of the fastest paths to revenue. So we entered this conversation with Marketo, and the first thing they said is like, you guys are trying to build an email product that's competitive with ours, so why would we want to partner with you? And that's true. In 2017, we did create an email product, and we still have this email product today where you're able to email people through the Drift platform, and then ultimately when they click a link in the email and get back to your website, you get a personalized message from the sales rep that sent the email. Really cool stuff, but the moral of the story is we weren't necessarily trying to invade the full marketing automation space, and we've sort of scaled back our email efforts to continue to focus on what we're really good at, which is conversational marketing and converting leads on your website. So what we did is through these conversations is we found the Black Swan, and what the Black Swan is that if you take customers aside, what Drift does at its best core is we drive more leads and more conversions on your website. We do 1.5 to 2 times upping in your conversion rate in your website. And ultimately, another way that Marketo makes money is by adding contacts to their database. So with setting a customers aside about new acquisition of Marketo, what we can really do is drive the amount of contacts that are going into Marketo and ultimately pulling that revenue lever for them. So when did this conversation, and ultimately today we have a great relationship with Marketo. Our team is at the Adobe Summit today and tomorrow, and there's going to be another big announcement coming tomorrow. But super excited to work with them, integrate with our product, but also be able to drive revenue for them as well as us get the exposure to the customers that we really want. The second relationship is LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So for those of you not familiar with this, I'm sure you guys all use LinkedIn, but there's a separate tool that LinkedIn has, which is Sales Navigator, that is specific for sales reps to use to create lists and follow leads and send in mails to people that they might not have an email address for. So it's a really great sales tool. And at the time, LinkedIn is an amazing company, and they're huge in this space, but we were looking to partner specifically for this profile that we're building our product for called the CDR, or the Conversational Development Rep. So this might be familiar as like a sales development rep or an AE, but we're building it for this conversational development rep. And so when we think about who we're building our product for, we're building it for the marketer. Right, the marketer is going to get the credit for converting more leads on their website, booking the meetings for their sales team, but we're also building our product for the experience of the end user that's actually chatting through our platform, the CDR. So if you can imagine the life of a CDR, they're living in a lot of different tools. They're in Salesforce, they're in Gmail, they're in SalesLoft, they're in Outreach, they're in Gong, listening to their calls, right? They have a lot of tools open on their tabs, and they can imagine, I'm sure all of you have had this experience where your browser looks like this and you're in so many different things and it gets a little bit chaotic. So what Drift set out to do is bring in the products that our CDRs are already using and put them into our platform. And LinkedIn Sales Navigator was a big one for us from customer feedback. So at the time, LinkedIn thought we were entering this conversation of partnering based on like exchanging customers, right? They weren't really interested in chat at all, new concept to them. They were interested in our customers, but ultimately what we were trying to do is get their product in ours. And so what we did is we found the Black Swan through conversations with this company. And what we realized is that more people using and having easier access to LinkedIn Sales Navigator ultimately drives in-mail credits. So another way that LinkedIn sort of bills is the ability to buy credits for those in-mails. So if we make it as easy as possible for these sales reps to in-mail people, having it right in the Drift platform, we're ultimately going to drive up those credits for LinkedIn. And the result of that is we do have an integration with Sales Navigator. It's right in the platform. It's a really amazing tool. So as soon as somebody gives an email within chat, we look up their LinkedIn profile, and on the right side of your sidebar, or the sidebar of the conversations view, it'll show their name, their company, where they've worked before, who they're connected with that and then you can also in-mail them right from the platform. So it's been an amazing, one of my favorite integrations that we've built so far. And the third and final partnership that I'll talk about today is demand-based. So demand-based, for those of you who don't know, ABM tool, ability to update your website based on the IP of the website traffic and be able to reveal who that is, and then ultimately serve them a different experience on your website or serve them a different ad on Facebook, LinkedIn, you name it. So Drift was looking to partner, and I'll bring it back to this sort of core concept is that we believe in an open future. We want to work with tools that our buyers are already using. I said that earlier, but it's true. We had this product built out, this strategic accounts thing I mentioned earlier. All of this is powered by a third-party tool. And at the time, it was just powered through a third-party tool called Clearbit. Similar tool to Demandbase. Demandbase, I would say, goes for the upper mid-market enterprise space, and Clearbit's on the lower mid-market to SMB space. But it's true, we already had this tool that people were using within Drift. So Demandbase is like, what's in it for us? You're already using Clearbit. I don't see the value in us partnering with you guys if you guys are already pushing this natively in your application. And so what we realized, and we found the Black Swan repeatable theme, is we gave Demandbase the opportunity to be tied to revenue, which ultimately isn't happening for Demandbase today. It can be somehow tied a little bit, but what Drift has in their product is the ability to tie real-time conversations directly to your opportunities and ultimately to your closed won revenue. So we went to market with them and did a little bit more of a co-marketing strategy where we built conversational advertising out with them. So the ability to target those accounts through demand-based data and then show an ad, and then ultimately when somebody clicks on that ad, it goes right into a conversation versus going to a landing page. So really great like mobile experience, almost sort of texting for your business when you see one of those ads. And then we also wrote the guide to conversational ABM with them. So conversational ABM is this new concept as well. ABM is a huge new sort of thing that people are using, sort of flipping the funnel and serving the customers that you want the most. So we've built this guide together, and ultimately we have a great partnership with them, and we became one of their most innovative integrations of 2018. So the common theme, I would say, between all three of these alliances is that when we first started conversations, they were mildly interested in Drift. Maybe it would work, maybe it wouldn't. But by the end of our conversations and discovering those black swans between our businesses, they became wildly interested and wanted to do something about it now. So my call to action to all of you is when you go into these conversations with other softwares and partners is to like take a step back, put yourself in the shoes of the customer and think outside the box and find the thing that brings the company to your side of the table and ultimately find your black swan. Thank you very much.
Questions? So, Michele, I have a question. So, taking the LinkedIn example, right?
Yeah.
So, you found that through conversations, they were interested in selling in-mail credits.
Yeah.
Have you had any experience where you set that expectation, but then a few months down the road, once the partnership is going, you don't meet that expectation, then what happens? What do you do in that case?
Yeah, I think, so specifically for me, I'm not as involved in these partnerships, but what I do know is that Jared, our director of partnerships, does a really good job of like only committing to things that we can work on right now. We have a ton of softwares that want to integrate with us, but if we can't execute on what we promise, then we're typically going to say no for now. So I would say demand-based. So the Marketo and demand-based alliance happened right around the same time, September last year. And we put a lot of time and effort in our Marketo alliance, and we didn't put a lot of time into our demand-based alliance. And so that sort of fell through. Like the revenue we were expecting from both of these alliances, like Marketo exceeded our expectations, but we didn't really focus at all on demand-based. So what I will say is like we're heading in the right direction with them now, but I will say we failed to sort of honor our agreement initially with them, but we're heading in the right direction now.
And if you could share like how long it took for some of these alliances to be formed, like how long it took you to discover that unique thing?
Yeah. Marketo, I mean, I feel like all three happened fairly quickly. I would say over like a 3-month process or so. LinkedIn happened even quicker. I would say that happened over like a month. Just because I think it's like when you realize that black swan, you realize that thing in the room that's going to make them money, like they want to move on that quickly. And I think like on the Marketo side, the customer success managers care about driving more contacts. So for them, this was like a no-brainer. So we ran like a spiff with them over the holidays. We were like, whoever can, sell Drift and then drive up your contacts will pay for your Christmas gifts that year. I think that's like what we ended up doing as a spiff. But it's interesting. I think when you can find the right customer or the right partner and the right software, you should move as quickly as you possibly can on it because you don't want to lose the opportunity.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let me pass on the mic.
Michele, thank you. As I mentioned, Drift's doing some amazing things in the partnership world, so kudos to you guys. Can you tell me a little bit about the ongoing relationship management with Drift and Marketo, and what you guys are doing, and maybe give some insight into what we could take back to some of our strategic partners who we feel are Black Swans?
Yeah, that is such a great question, and shameless plug, we are hiring an alliances manager, so if you're interested, come talk to me after. So we've been very, very scrappy with these relationships. Jared Fuller, our director of partnerships, manages our channel team, which is a team of 5, and then he also manages all these alliances. And we're getting to a place where he's like, we need to hire somebody specific to be dedicated to this relationship. So I'll say we're still figuring it out, and we are actively hiring so that somebody can manage that relationship and have a little bit of a tighter, close-knit community versus the sort of, I would say like we're throwing out, or what am I saying? What's the fire analogy? Baptism by fire, it feels like right now. So yeah, we're still working on it.
Other questions?
Great talk. For enablement piece, like how do you approach that in terms of like enabling both the Marketo team or demand-based team and also internally at Drift? And how do you look at like, sales? How do you measure that in terms of how that partnership goes?
Yeah, it's a great question. I would say with these initial alliances, we've been really, really scrappy. When I say that, I mean like Jared flew to each of the Marketo offices and talked to each of them like one-on-one. We've also done a lot of like the not normal things, like have like a printed out piece of paper at your desk that explains like the true value of this partnership. So it's top of mind when you get into these conversations. And then as far as revenue influence, I think on the alliances side, we look at lead source. So it's not necessarily like true lead source, the only reason this customer is a customer, but we have like a influence based on this partnership is how we look at it for this stuff. Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you, Michele.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.